Okay. Hello again, everybody. We're back.
We're back.
Yeah. So we just did our top 10 movies, films of 2020. So now we're back. We're going to talk about TV shows of 2020. So, Alyssa, would you say this was a good year for TV?
I would say it was. I definitely had trouble narrowing my list down to 5. But yeah, there's just so much TV that comes out every single year now because of all the streaming services. And there's a lot of good shows, some stinkers. But I thought there were a lot of good ones that came out in 2020.
Netflix is like just a factory, right?
Oh yeah, they're just churning them out every single week. But then you're also seeing Hulu making their own, Apple TV Plus, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, just so many people. It's overwhelming, to be honest.
Yeah. So why don't we start? Do you have any honorable mentions? Any things that didn't make your list that you'd like to talk about?
Okay, I do have to mention, I really fell down the Fruits Basket rabbit hole last year, or early this year, kind of in the middle, but I love season 2 of Fruits Basket. I can't really say much about the story without ruining it, but it's an anime about this girl named Toru, and she comes across the Soma family, and they invite her to live with them, but she soon finds out that if she hugs someone of the opposite sex of that family, they turn into a character or an animal from the Chinese zodiac. So it's just kind of like getting around the, don't hug them, don't like trip and fall into them. And it sounds like it'd be like this stupid romance, but it's really not. It deals with a lot of heavier topics, and I love all the characters, the art style, and this rebooted version is really beautiful. And it's not gonna be for everyone, but I love it. I love it so much, and I cannot wait for the final season this year.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, again, like I said in the last video, anime, little blind spot for me. But did you say that was on HBO Max?
Right now it's on Hulu, and this one's only on Hulu, and then on Funimation and Crunchyroll, which are two anime streaming services.
Is that owned by anyone else yet?
Funimation is owned by Sony, and then Funimation bought Crunchyroll, so that's going to be rolled into it at some point.
Okay.
So it's Sony.
So that's interesting. So that's basically Sony's streaming services anime.
Pretty much, yeah.
That kind of makes sense, right? They're a Japanese company.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other honorable mentions?
I think that's pretty much it. That's the one that really stuck.
Yeah, so I guess for me, my honorable mention would be Umbrella Academy Season 2.
That was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun. There were some things I was a little like not in love with. Basically, they kind of do like the Disney version of like what it was like to be in the 1960s, which I was like, okay, sure, guys, okay. I appreciate
further with it.
Yes, I was like, I appreciate that you at least went there, but you did go there with the Disney version, and so I was like, okay.
And I mean, it's not like a family show; it's TVMA. They could have.
I know. I know. It's a little confusing, but there was a lot of cool stuff that happened in season 2, and it's a different kind of superhero show. It's very different from what we like the freaking Marvel stuff, right? It's very different, and I like that. I like what it goes for, and glad to see it continue.
Oh yeah, definitely ready for season 3.
Yeah, I'm ready for season 3. The season 1 ended really on a cool. It was really cool note.
Yeah, and then it took like 2.5 years to release season 2.
I know. It's like, come on, give it to me. Give it to me.
I need it.
Yeah, I need it. I need more. Put it in my veins. So, I'm forgetting. So was it 2019 when the latest Stranger Things came out?
Yes, it was
right. Okay.
2019. Yeah.
Just making sure. The years are blending together.
They are. It's so hard.
Yeah, the other day I was talking to my friends. Like, yeah, last year I was doing blah blah blah. He's like, last year? I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
We're flaking that year out.
Yeah. It was the blip.
Thanos.
Yeah, like, yeah, I wanted to snap that whole thing away. Just act like it didn't happen. Yeah, yeah. Cool. All right, so let's get into our list. So, Alyssa, what was your number 5 TV show?
And number 5 for me was The Flight Attendant. This was originally supposed to be a limited series on HBO Max, but it was so popular, it's now been renewed for season 2. It stars Kaylee Cuoco, who is usually, in very comedic roles. She is still funny in this, but it's very much a more serious role. And she's a flight attendant who ends up sleeping with one of the passengers on her flight to Bangkok. And that's definitely a no-no. And then she wakes up, they have she's an alcoholic, they have a drunken night, and she wakes up next to his corpse. He's just his throat's cut, there's blood everywhere. She cleans up the crime scene and leaves. So people are trying to figure out, did she do it? But she's trying to figure out who actually killed the guy she slept with. And then she keeps seeing him in her thoughts. He's alive in her thoughts, and he's kind of like breaking the fourth wall to her, and he's trying to figure out who killed him as well. So it's just really trying to decipher who killed Alex Sokoloff, the guy she slept with, and also trying to see if Cassie is going to give up her drinking habit, what she's going to do with being a murder suspect. It was just really interesting, and I didn't really expect it to be as good as it was, but I thought Kaylee Cuoco knocked it out of the park, and it's also got Mikhail Huisman in it, and I always love him, so he was a major selling point too, to be honest. But
cool. Yeah, so does it end in a way that's open?
It definitely ends where you can see a season 2 happening, and that's what's happening. So it definitely does leave you with a few, threads left dangling.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll that's another on the HBO Max list.
Yeah. And it's only on HBO Max. It's not on the, TV channel or anything. So.
Yeah. Cool. Sounds very cool.
I really liked it.
Yeah. So, my number 5 show is Lovecraft Country.
That was just original and brutal and so many words I can't even, it's hard to describe.
It's such an interesting show, right? Because it's what do they call it? Those shows where every episode's kind of different,
anthology.
Yeah, anthology. Yeah. Exactly. It's a very anthology kind of series. So sometimes it's a very horror. Sometimes there's basically an episode. It's almost like Indiana Jones.
It is, and then sometimes it's very science fiction.
Yeah.
It just jumps around the place all the time.
Yeah, there's body horror, and there's there's some really creepy shit. But it also has this kind of racial component, and it's dealing with what it was like in the 1950s to be black, and all of those stuff put together is it just really, really works, and it's really cool. It's really cool. I really like this show. Not sure if there's going to be continuation or not.
I don't believe I've heard anything, but I really do want to see it continue.
I wouldn't be surprised just because I feel like it was really successsul.
It was. So many people were talking about it. I mean, again, Jonathan Majors is in this. He was so good. And I mean, after he did this and Defy Bloods, he got cast in the 3rd Ant-Man movie. And I mean, Journey Smollett's always good too. She's in this, and just all the actors, Courtney B. Vance. I mean, it was a good show. It is gross at some points. I will admit. That's the body horror part, but I just think it's so original, and it tackles topics that are still here today, and it's definitely worth a watch if you don't mind it being weird.
Yeah.
You definitely have to go in open-minded.
Like you said, also, it's an anthology too, so there are threads that go across, but each episode kind of deals with a different kind of almost sci-fi fantasy topic, and there's all kinds of stuff, literally out of this world stuff. So you get almost everything you could think of in the sci-fi horror fantasy genre from the show. But yeah, I really liked it. So that's my number 5, Lovecraft Country. So what's your number 4 TV show?
My number 4 is Normal People. This was based off a book, which I did read the book first, was not a fan of the book, but the TV show just blew it out of the water, which is very uncommon for me to say. But this is set on 2 young people in Ireland, another Irish
Yeah.
production. I cannot remember their characters' names for the life of me, but I know the actors' names, Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones. And they have a very on and off relationship, and you see them traverse through their high school years and the college. There's so many beautiful scenes and locations in this, and you see them in different relationships with different people, with each other. It's just, it is very graphic at points in the sexual department.
Mm.
Um, it's very moving though, and I wish it was continuing on, but it's just a limited series. It definitely has an ending point, and you kind of just have to make up your own mind about how it ends. But Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones are definitely going to be seen more after this series because they were phenomenal, and I adored it.
Mm. Cool. And where can we find this one?
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Okay, cool. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, there's all kinds of like, what's cool is like there's all kinds of stuff out there, right?
Yeah.
From all over the place that you can find, and like there's just so many good stories. Yeah, I haven't heard of this one. I'll definitely have to find a way to check it out.
It's really good.
Cool. Yeah, so my number 4 is The Boys season 2.
Oh, that was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. The Boys is a really crazy show. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely bonkers. You know, it's
not
basically
a typical comic book show.
Yeah, it's like taking the superhero genre and then turning it on its head and, you know, thinking of the most gross, crazy, ridiculous ways that you can interpret the characters. And pretty much this season had to deal with, there was some kind of mysterious kind of elements going on, and some fallout from like what happened in season 1. You know, they killed a guy. The boys had killed somebody.
Yeah.
So now, you know, people were after them. And, you know, there was like this whole story arc with, I forget she's like the Wolverine kind of character, and she had like a brother.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, like, didn't they call it like Kimiko? Yeah.
Kimiko, yeah.
Yeah, Kimiko, yeah. Yeah, it was like Kimiko's brother, and then there was like the Stormfront character, this who's...
Oh, I love Aya Cash. She was so good at Stormfront.
Yeah, Stormfront. I won't, but like, you kind of suspect, okay, there's something up with the Stormfront character.
Yeah, I mean, if you thought Homelander was bad.
Yeah, Homelander, I always found that kind of like the Homelander Stormfront thing interesting because like, Homelander is he's super kind of like egotistical and self-centered, you know, but he doesn't really care about some of the other things that Stormfront's about. So I found that kind of interesting, like seeing the two of these people like sort of coming together, and it was like there was this one scene where it was the two of them and then like the son, and then like she says. She's like, I love this shot. It's like she says something to the son, and he like he literally goes like, "What?" And it's like when you go farther than this crazy ass mass murderer, like you know you're crazy.
Yeah, it's bad.
The ending, the basically the climax of the season was really powerful. Some powerful stuff happened. And yeah, I'm just always I like this show. There was some stuff I didn't like in like season 1 that had to do with like the Aquaman guy, the Deep.
Yeah, the Deep. Yeah.
I didn't like the way that because like it's one thing if you're gonna say okay, there's like this Me Too stuff in superheroes, which totally makes sense. That totally makes sense. And that's actually been something that's been explored in other like DC and Marvel properties. I didn't like that they then kind of made him a joke and then tried to redeem him.
Yeah, I can agree with that, yeah.
Really, I didn't like that. I did not like that. And they've sort of, again, still continued to kind of make him... They punished his character a bit, but it's like he's a punchline. And I don't know. It just
like they just make fun of the fact that he can talk to animals, and that's that.
Yeah, I that's the one thing in the show that's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But a lot of other things I've really liked, and this show, like it's just so crazy and ridiculous the stuff they do. It is just absolutely ridiculous, like the sexual stuff and the violence they put it up to an 11 every single time. So I am super invested in the show. I will watch it until the very end.
Me too. And the spin-off show, whatever it's going to be, definitely will check that out as well.
Yeah. Anything related to this universe, I'm in. They got me. You got me, Amazon. You got me. Cool. All right. So what's your number 3 show?
Okay, this one pains me to put it at 3, but the other 2 are better. But it's Outlander season 5. I'm a huge Outlander fan. It's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Season 5 is incredible. It continues the story of Jamie and Claire, which the whole story revolves around Claire, it being in 1940, but she travels back in time because she goes on her second honeymoon with her husband Frank to Scotland, but she goes to the Standing Stones and travels back in time, and she gets stuck in 1747 Scotland, and it's just how she meets Jamie Fraser, and then they have a life together. Season 5 brought back a beloved character that didn't expect to come back. It doesn't happen in the books. And there were moments that, you see the book and you're like, yeah, it's on screen. And then there's new stuff. And it was just, I cried several times. And I'm ready for season 6 and I need it. And I don't have it. And I'm going through Outlander symptoms.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's what I haven't gotten into.
The first 4 seasons are on Netflix now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's a lot. Like TV is kind of like I'm into TV a bit, but like not into it.
Yeah.
So maybe at some point I'll kind of dive deeper into stuff like that. But yeah, it sounds like an interesting series.
I really, really love it. Like to an unhealthy degree. So.
Yeah, cool. That's fun. All right. So my number 2 is, we're at number 3, right?
Yes, 3.
Yeah, my bad. So my number 3 is The Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So The Mandalorian, really good show. Really good show. Sort of like a reset button for the Star Wars content that we've been receiving. Because basically people have felt certain kinds of ways about the sequel trilogy.
I love it personally, but
no, I mean, I appreciate each one for different reasons. I think that there's a lot that needs to be talked about when we talk about how the sequel trilogy happened and why it happened the way it happened. And, spoiler alert, a lot of it had to do with the fact that there are Disney executives who paid, I don't know how many billions of dollars to George Lucas, and they said, buy, make me money now. And that's a lot of the reason why we got what we got. And to be honest, like when you really learn all the behind the scenes of like what happened, even with like Rogue One, and like Rogue One, people love Rogue One, but like behind the scenes, that was a disaster.
And with Solo replacing the directors pretty far into the shooting and Ron Howard having to come in.
Yeah. So
I love Solo, but again, issues.
Yeah, they faced tons of problems in the films, and even like the films people like Rogue One, the guy who directed all the stuff people like, it's kind of funny. Like the guy was like, yeah, I hate Star Wars. Yeah. The guy who did the reshoots, and he was like, yeah, to me, I was shooting like a Battle of Britain movie. It's like crazy. But then we get Favreau and Filoni. They do The Mandalorian, and they get the stagecraft technology, which is like the stuff is so cool that they're able to do. Where it's an LED screen and it looks like you're anywhere you could imagine. Unbelievable stuff, and The Mandalorian basically is the reason why we have this technology. And the first season was really good. The second season was really cool too. There's a lot of cool stuff. Kind of starts off like it is a little anthology-ish. There are some characters we haven't seen. Like this thing is now spreading out like big time. Oh, we're getting a ton of spin-offs. Like it's just spinning off TV shows left and right. But the big things we got to see Ahsoka in live action.
That was so cool.
Which is a big deal. We got to see who was the other Mandalorians that we saw? I forget. Bo-Katan?
Bo-Katan cries. I don't even know if I should reveal who you actually see, because that was a major moment watching. Yeah. If you're a fan.
Yeah. They really like take a lot of stuff that Filoni had done, and also stuff that's sort of that was not canon, that was in books and comics, and they all start to bring it into like actual canon now, which is like really cool stuff we'd either seen in cartoons or books or whatever, and now it's like it's in live action. It's like, holy shit. This is cool. And at the end of the season, we get to see another really important character show up.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. They've really done a lot of cool stuff, and again, it's branching out into even more things. So yeah, I mean, Baby Yoda is like
cutest.
Just like Baby Yoda.
I can't stand it. Every episode, he's just so cute.
I know, he's super cute. Wasn't there was one episode where he was trying to like repair something in the ship. He's like, oh, go do that. Yeah. And he's like crawling. Yeah. It's like, this is ridiculous. There was this one shot I really liked. It was like in one of the earlier seasons. It was like episode 2 or 3 where he had fought this basically like a giant spider alien thing, and it shot out these little like, I guess, I don't know, baby spiders. Yeah, and then but one of them like got into the ship, and then it's like this little thing, it's like crawling down a Grogu, and then he like looks up, and then it's got like 8 eyes, and you see all the eyes looking at him. I really like that. It was because it's like, okay, it's a little scary, but it's cute, and then he lets the Mandalorian saves him from getting attacked by this thing. But yeah, they just like, it's just like they know what makes Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Take these kind of cute things and the things that sell the toys, but also kind of like this sort of Western and samurai inspired sci-fi landscape. Throw it all together and you get Star Wars. Yeah, very cool. One last thing I think I'll mention, I really like they did this episode where I never thought about this, but like the way that we view the Sand People has been kind of stereotypical, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And they really humanized them in one episode, like really made us understand them in a different way. I really, really like that episode. Totally makes us rethink everything that we think about, because we just, they're almost treated as like very savage, almost like, the way we would think of like old Westerns treat Native Americans, but they're like, no, they have a real culture and they have a real this, and they're not just like random people who go around killing people in the desert. So yeah. So that's my feelings about The Mandalorian season 2. All right. So what's your number 2 TV show?
Okay, my number 2 is The Queen's Gambit. It was just a complete surprise. Came out of nowhere basically, and when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, it's about chess. I don't know if I like it, but Anya Taylor-Joy is fantastic in this, and she plays this she grows up basically in an orphanage, even though it's called, I think, like a Christian girls school, and they give the girls tranquilizers every night to put them to sleep, but she becomes hooked on them. And then she sees like chess movements on the ceiling, and the janitor at the school is teaching her how to play chess. And then you see her grow up and become this, this prodigy, but she also deals with other issues like alcoholism and just all this stuff happens to her that's terrible. You see her really grow as a person, and it's just such a stylish show. It makes chess entertaining. It is a period piece, yes. It's got a fantastic cast. It's just really wonderful, and for a while I think it was Netflix's most watched show until I think was it Bridgerton or was there one that came before Bridgerton that kind of knocked it out? Can't remember. It was the most streamed though for a while there. But yeah, it's just took the world by surprise, and people became obsessed with it, and I did too.
I feel like 2020 is the year of Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh yeah, she's been in a lot.
Because what's all this stuff that she's been in? So
she's in this. New Mutants, which I thought was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, what else was she in? She was in something else.
Yeah, I know. I can't think of all the stuff she was. What was it? Emma?
Emma, yes, Emma. I haven't seen that movie yet, but I really want to.
Yeah. Let's see, what else was she in that came out.
I know she's going to be in a movie this year, Last Night in Soho.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an exciting one. It just, yeah, this felt like this was the real moment for her. This show was just absolutely, and it's really about her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like her performance is what drives this narrative. And like they said, they made chess sexy or whatever. Yeah. But what's interesting is like the way that they are able to depict all of the different sort of things that she goes through. There are other kind of sports stories that kind of approach the same thing, but they, it's just like making that sports story so relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we can all kind of connect with the drive to want to be good at something that you have an interest in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what really makes this work. And then there's also like her substance abuse struggles and all this other stuff. Yeah, it's a really great show.
It's really special.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not something you see every day.
So, do you think there's going to be a season 2?
I feel like it's probably pretty much tied up. It is popular enough. I think it could warrant one. I don't know if it needs one though.
Yeah, I would say I don't think it needs one. I think it will get one, and it hopefully it'll be pretty good. But see, the thing about it is, when you make a show that's this successful, they're gonna throw money at you.
They are, yeah. You're not gonna just let it slip away and be nothing.
Exactly. It's just a matter of what's the number for everybody to come back. And Netflix has the money to do it, and so
they do.
We'll probably see Queen's Gambit season 2. But even if we didn't, I think what we got is really cool, really good stuff. Cool. Yeah. So my number 2 is The Last Dance.
That's the sports. Mm-hmm. Is it Michael Jordan?
Yep, it's the Michael Jordan.
I'm not a sports person. Forgive me.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, this one really resonated with a lot of people in a big way. I think this is especially at the time when it came out. It came out at this time, like I think it was almost like March or April or something was when it came out.
Yeah, I think it came out like right after Kobe Bryant passed too.
Yeah.
Like very soon afterwards.
Yeah, it was like it came out at a time where basically the COVID stuff was really hitting hard and everyone was shut down. And yeah, the stuff with Kobe had happened, and it was like the perfect storm of people needing something new content, people watching, and really kind of interesting story. It's one of the I guess Michael Jordan's an interesting figure. I mean, I remember as a kid when he was like really big, and he was just like I wasn't even
remember him in Space Jam, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I love Space Jam. I mean, Space Jam is even in the show. They talk about like he was prepping to come back while they were shooting or whatever, and then he was like, yeah, I'll make the movie, but you gotta make a gigantic like tent or whatever. But basically, they made a basketball court at Warner Studios for him to play his pickup games. Yeah, and it was like this invitation only kind of pickup games with like the best of the best players in basketball, and they would come out to LA. They play pickup basketball with Michael Jordan in between like takes or whatever of this movie. There's a lot of great memes that came out of this. Like I took it personally as a meme that you see a lot of Michael Jordan.
Yeah, that one. I've seen that.
It's from the show. Another one is him looking at the tablet and laughing because someone kind of like.
That's another one.
Yeah. There's some, and a lot of these type of things are going to become staples of, I think, documentary type of storytelling going forward. You're going to see a lot of, hey, look, react to this person saying this about you. Which is like, that's good directing from the guy who put this together. Yeah, this was a really cool. And, look, Michael Jordan's a very, again, like I remember when I was a kid, he's just an omnipresent figure, just like because of the marketing and because of the way that he carried himself. He's sort of almost like the pinnacle of athletic, like peak performance. Like when you think of like who's one of the most dominant athletic figures, like Michael
Jordan.
Yeah. And so, you know, a lot's been said about like, you know, him and his personality, and was he a little too overbearing? Was he a little too this and that? And they get into that a little bit, but I feel like in the end, people basically are like, was he not a nice guy? Yes, but you know, he was Michael Jordan, so he was demanding because he wanted to win all the time.
Yeah. Now, is this something someone that's just not really interested in sports could get into, or do you need to have knowledge about it?
I think you could get into it because they deal a lot with these human elements, and it tells the entire story of Michael Jordan, basically, is actually what this. They do a lot of. They basically interweave the narrative. So like the story, the main story is the final season of the '90s Chicago Bulls, and interspersed with that is how Chicago drafted him, what it was, where he grew up. He grew up in North Carolina. He played at he played. I forget the college he played for, and you know all that stuff. It really follows the entire tenure of his basically his career up into the first retirement. That's really what this whole story is about, and they cover all these human elements, the different players, the different coaches, the different, you know, he had problems with his general manager. And I think that's the thing. Even if you don't really like care for the sports aspect, the human aspect, they sell that a lot. And so I think that makes it more relatable.
Okay.
So, yeah. It is kind of long. It's like, I think it's like 9 or 10 episodes, and it's, I think I saw it was like 400 minutes or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's an investment. It's an investment, but it's a cool. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, I would say watch the first couple episodes, see what you think of it.
Okay.
But I think it definitely helps, like, because there is a nostalgia factor, I think, for this show, because there's a lot of people who either were covering Michael Jordan, or you know, they were like me, they were young when he was playing, or or people who were born after he retired, and they just had no conception of what, you know, basically the mythos, right? Because that's a lot of what the show is about. It's about expounding the mythos of Michael Jordan. And so it's for them to like sort of partake in it, to like, oh yeah, you know, there was this guy, Michael Jordan, and this is what he did. This is who he was. So yeah. So yeah, I would say, yeah, try it out. Watch the first episode, see what you think about it. But yeah, it is definitely a very sports story. So okay, so we're at number one. Number one. All right, Alyssa, so what's your number one TV show of 2020?
We've already talked about it, but that would be Mandalorian Season 2.
Yeah.
I am a huge Star Wars fan, and this whole season basically made me geek out the entire time. It also scratched that itch because I love Firefly so much, and that was only one season. This has very strong Firefly vibes, but obviously it's Star Wars. Just seeing, you know, the relationship between Mando and Baby Yoda. I do not want to call him by his given name because I hate it. But seeing them just, you know, grow closer, and then meeting all these different characters that pop up, returning characters, some surprising characters. It's so thrilling and wonderful, and I think it really upped the ante from the first season. And it's just, if you're a Star Wars fan, you need to watch Mandalorian. It is so incredibly well done, so good. Every episode just looks amazing. It's got great acting in it, great visual effects, obviously. The directors are always top notch, and it's just, I'm excited for season 3. I'm excited for the spinoffs. I'm just in it. I am just devoted to this show.
Yeah, and like we were saying, we talked about it before. It's spinning off into so many other shows that all really feel, yeah, like they're all exciting. I can't wait to see where they go. And this is a fun kind of period for them to explore.
Mm-hmm.
This sort of in between, the end of the empire and then I guess what's because then I'm kind of okay because like basically it takes place like after Return of the Jedi, but before like the Force Order comes back.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of telling us how the First Order came about again, pretty much.
Yeah.
While also like saying, oh yeah, so this is how the Republic was dealing with all of the aftermath, basically the aftermath of winning the Battle of Yavin. So yeah, and there's again, like I said, it's a little anthology-ish, but there's just a lot of cool stuff that they explore in the show. A lot of cool stuff, and it's really nice to see them take all these kind of things that are on the periphery and then make them feel real, because then it all feels real.
Yeah, and like bring some characters that were in the spotlight, maybe. I mean, not the spotlight, the sideline, maybe previously, and put them in the spotlight.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, it's exciting. It's a really great show, and I can't wait to see more. Cool. Okay, so my number one is The Queen's Gambit. Queen's Gambit is number one for me. I really liked it. I thought it was great.
It is. It is great.
Yeah, it's a great show, and yeah, there's just something really like relatable about someone who you get that first taste of that thing,
and then you just want more and more and more.
You want more and more, and then you start consuming more information about it. And I really like that scene too when she like finds like the first chess tournament or whatever. She's just like reading in a magazine. It's like, wait, I can make money.
Yeah.
Playing chess. And she's like, and then it just becomes a whole adventure for her.
And the thing is, girls weren't really like involved in chess back then. When she tries to go sign up, they're like, "Are you sure this is all boys?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, and then they're like, "But you don't have a ranking either, so you just get thrown in with whoever, and then what happens happens." No one really believes she can do it, and she proves them wrong.
Yeah, because like she's playing and she doesn't even have a rating, which is they have a very sort of complicated rating system, and so she's not even aware of it. No. Like us, we're like, what ratings? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, she gets thrown into the deep end like we do as the audience if you don't know what is entailed. But
yeah, it's hilarious. And then there's like it's like oh yeah, basically they play a Swiss tournament. It's like, wait, what happens? Like, oh, you should play, if you win, you play another person who won, and until the end. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's really interesting. And like I was saying, the period piece stuff aspects, like the costumes and the sets and the look of everything is so cool.
And the costume designer actually said that they designed the costumes to mimic how a chessboard would look. A lot of the costumes had, squares and geometric shapes. And I thought that was just a really cool little touch that I didn't really notice until I looked at the pictures afterwards. I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. So it's just really cool.
Yeah, it is a cool touch. I really like it. It's just, and it was very surprising. It's like, oh, this is so interesting. Such an interesting show, and like the way that they're able to like really take these things and make them relatable, make chess relatable and interesting, and getting that human element, because we're also invested in her and seeing her through kind of the the substance stuff that she has to deal with, because she was brought up in this orphanage where they're like, oh, what are we gonna do? Like, that's a real thing too, man. The stuff that they did to people. It's like, yeah, just give them some drugs to make them be quiet. And it's like, what? They did that? Yeah, totally. It just reminds me of like Cuckoo's Nest. yeah, what they did to mental patients. It's just like, what? But yeah, anyway, this is a great film. I'm sorry, great TV show. Definitely, anyone who hasn't seen it should definitely check it out. And yeah, so those were our list. So we did it. We covered 2020.
Yeah.
Cool. So any last thoughts about 2020 TV shows or movies or anything?
There were a lot of great TV shows and movies in 2020. 2020 itself wasn't that great, but we had entertainment to get us through a hell of a year.
Yeah. Thank God for that. So where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram. I have 2 different accounts, which you can see down below. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. You can find me pretty much anywhere. Just try your best.
Letterboxd.
Yeah, I'm on Letterboxd.
There too. Got a great Letterboxd account.
Thank you.
On Twitter. Yeah, all over the place. So yeah, check us out. And hopefully we'll come to you guys with some more content in the future. But until then, thanks a lot, and hope you have a good one.